Good afternoon, my conscious co-creators. Welcome to another edition of the Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity. I am very, very pleased that you are all here with me today. We've got another wonderful show for you in store for you today on a very important topic, one very near and dear to my heart, which is kindness. And we'll bring my guest on in just a moment. But first, of course, we have my blog post from a couple of years ago. And let's get to it. And this blog post is entitled, "The Best Cure for Disconnection is Being Physically Close." Proximity counts for a lot. Being close to those we love helps to build the bonds. When we are far away, it is easy to drift apart. Friends, family, partners, or lovers, it is all the same. It is very difficult to build relationships when you can't see the other person. Sure, it is true that there are those friends whom we may not see for many years, but still feel close. Yet those relationships were built when we were physically close. To create that kind of relationship when the other person is in another state or country is much more difficult. Even with today's technology. Yes, you can video chat and talk on the phone with people from around the world. Yet to build a true, lasting relationship, it takes physical closeness. It takes being there for the other person when they need you. And it takes physical contact as well. A hug is worth its weight in gold when we are down and feeling despondent. No amount of time on a screen can replace that. The more we rely on technology for so many aspects of our life, the more we lose that sense. We can begin to think that everything can be done through a screen. Even though many things can, there is no replacement for the feeling of being in the same room with a person. To look into their eyes and feel their energy. However, once we have built that relationship, when we are physically close, then we can maintain it at a distance. Let's not get confused on this point. So many people are now so detached and isolated that they don't even feel comfortable connecting with others in real life. And it isn't that a shame? We miss out on so much when we are close to others. Yet there's good and bad about being physically close to others. That is true for just about everything in life. The feeling of disconnection can only be changed by physical closeness, by touching another person and being touched by another person. No matter how good VR gets or how well we can replicate the look of a person, we can never replicate every aspect of someone. The texture of their hair, the smell of their body, or the feeling we get when we are next to them. Closeness to another human being grows from being physically close to them. The emotions we feel are built on and enhanced by being around them. Can a phone or a computer ever replace that? Are you feeling more disconnected from the people you know? Can you make more of an effort to be in their physical presence? So I wrote this post a couple of years ago after a conversation with my wife, and we were just talking about how we used to have a lot of friends here in New York City. And we still know a lot of people. We do have friends. Don't get me wrong. Um, but we had very good friends who, once they moved away, we kind of lost touch. And it really created this sense of like the need for having people kind of close to us because so many people left New York City during the pandemic. And even before the pandemic, just people move. That's the world we live in now. We're much more mobile. People are becoming digital nomads. I mean, two of my wife's closest friends went back to China. It- it- and it just and and not that, we want to keep people here. If something is pulling them elsewhere, it's not that, we're saying everyone should stay put. But it's just that movement sort of um, brought to mind how challenging it is to really build a close relationship with someone when you only see them on a screen. Now, look, I'm not against virtual networking. I do tons of it. I meet people all over the world practically every week, and that's great. But how many of those people can I really call friends? How many of those people, like if I was in trouble, I could pick up the phone and say, "Hey, I really need your help. Can you come over here?" Too many. And it just in seeing what's happening with society and seeing what's going on in the world, it just feels like there's a lack of recognition of how important being physically close to people are. And I remember, I guess it was a couple of years ago, there was a gentleman I met when I was on my trip down to Peru 3 years ago. And he came to New York with his family, and we got together and with my wife, and we all had dinner together. And he was telling me how every Friday he has lunch with his brother and his father, and that he had been doing it for like over 25 or 30 years. And I was just mind boggled by this. I mean, my brother, and my sister haven't even lived in the same state since I was in high school, I think. My sister's in a different country. I mean, I'm actually going to go see her at the end of the month. But when we're so far apart and we can't do even the simplest of things together, like have a meal together, get together, see each other in person, give each other a hug, it affects the relationship. It really does. And these days, people are so distracted by their phones, and they're so like quick to be texting somebody who's in a totally different city than they are, than talk to the person that's across the table from them. It's really interesting for me just when me and my wife go out to eat to see how many young couples are not even talking to each other, but they're both on their phones. And it's like the phone has become a replacement for spending time with the person right across the table from you. And it's really that this whole topic really has been highlighted for me a lot over the past year. And I've really come to miss, seeing people in person. And I've actually started to, go join some meetup groups and check on Eventbrite and see what's going on in New York City. And you think, New York City, it's easy to meet up with people, but it's really not. People are always so busy and different schedules and so much going on. We've had friends we've been trying to get together and have dinner with for 2 or 3 months and haven't been able to see them. And so it's just this recognition that how physically close we live to someone really does make a difference. And I'm not saying that you can't form relationships and friendships with people who are far away. Of course you can. People, I'll date myself. Back when we were kids, people had pen pals. You'd write letters to each other and you could be in different places. But it's just not quite the same as being right there, right in front of somebody. My wife with one of her best friends who used to live in our building, if one of them got sick, the other one would be cooking a meal and like bringing it up to them or down to them. If someone needed, was injured and needed help getting to the doctor, they're there for each other. I mean, of course, I'm there for her, but just kind of feel like we're getting so isolated and so disconnected with each other that really it makes it very hard to have close relationships, close friends, close community. And that's one of the reasons why I truly love the healing work that I do, because it's all in person. It's like we're here for an evening, we're going to go through this experience, turn off your phones, we're going to just be here with each other. I love that. And it's so rare today and so precious. And so I really, wrote this blog post from a place of my own heart of how much I miss having people around. And I remember it was 14 years ago. We had a birthday party here at my apartment, and I invited people I knew from all different parts of my life who were local. And they were like 50 people showed up. And today I think about who could I invite to a birthday party locally, and I don't know if I could even get 10 or 15 people who still like live here, who I've seen enough that I feel close enough to invite them to a party. And I mean, I don't know if you have the same experience or not. I mean, maybe, depending on where you live, if you're in a different place, maybe you do see your neighbors and your friends, more. But in the big cities, I just feel like people are leaving the cities, they're moving, they're leaving the country. I mean, they're going all over the place. And that sense of just having people you can rely on, who can be physically present when you need them, it's it's getting tougher and tougher to find those people. And it could be also the stage of my life. As we get older, it's uh, we lose people and things change. But I think this is true for everyone. And I just felt it was important to give a voice to this idea of proximity, to give a voice to the idea that being physically close with people is is more important than we realize. So that's my blog post. It is entitled "The Best Cure for Disconnection is Being Physically Close." And of course, you can always find my blog post on my personally branded website, theconsciousconsultant.com, or on the station's website at talkradio.nyc/blog. And if you like my blog post, don't forget, I've got a whole book called Everyday Awakening, and you can pick it up on your favorite bookstore. And I also have now an audio version of it that you can get on Amazon. So feel free to look for Everyday Awakening by Sam Leibowitz. All right. It is now extreme pleasure to welcome back to the show Jill Lublin, a 25-year veteran of the publicity world, international speaker, and four-time best-selling author, widely regarded as a media magnet. But you didn't know that, Jill. And also a dear friend who I have known now for almost 20 years. I think we met 19 years ago. Jill has shared stages alongside voices like Tony Robbins, Barbara Corcoran, and Jack Canfield, and has worked with more than 100,000 clients, teaching them her signature formula for getting media attention, creating next level visibility in the marketplace, and turning that visibility into real growth. Her work now reaches conscious entrepreneurs and mission-driven leaders through her Media Mastery Intensive and her monthly kindness circles. What makes Jill's approach distinct is not simply the strategy, but the spirit behind it. She was recently honored with a Humanitarian Award, a recognition that speaks to something she has built her career around, the conviction that visibility and kindness belong in the same sentence. In a marketplace often driven by hype, self-promotion, and manufactured urgency, Jill teaches a different way of being seen, one rooted in clarity of message, generosity of connection, and a willingness to lead with service. Her kindness circles have become a gathering ground for entrepreneurs who want their work to matter and their success to lift others along the way. Welcome to the Conscious Consultant Hour, Jill.
Thank you, Sam. It's a delight to be here with you and all your viewers and listeners.
Thank you so much. It's wonderful to have you back, especially, to talk about this idea of kindness and the importance of kindness, like not just in our everyday life, but in our business life, in our careers. And it's something that kind of feel like, that old adage of nice guys finish last is something that's so ingrained in our capitalist society that we often forget that that's not usually true, and that there's actually a different way to approach things, isn't there?
There's a very different way, and the truth about today's world is kindness is more required than ever. We have
Mm,
a very divisive field that's been created, and there are many of us who are working to break through that, including, of course, you and I bring this message of kindness to people, and I think it's such a small but important element that will make such a huge difference in daily life, and that we're all
mm,
capable of doing it and giving it.
mm. Mm. Absolutely, absolutely. So, Jill, I mean, your primary focus or your initial focus was really public relations, right? So how does someone who is a public relations expert, who's written several books on public relations, how did this idea of just even wanting to promote kindness? I mean, we all love the idea of kindness, but how did the idea of sort of wanting to promote the idea of being more kind in business and in our careers and in our daily life, how did that come to you as something that you've personally felt like, oh, I need to really focus on this?
Well, exactly what you were talking about in your blog post, community and connection. And I have she's since passed, but I had an aging, wonderful friend who I committed to helping in her aging process. And by the way, I'm a very busy person. So when people say things like, oh, I'm too busy or whatever, like, forget about it. What's key is the connection. And I knew that me taking her to lunch or a doctor's appointment made such a difference. And one day I was driving her, whatever, I think lunch, and she looked at me and she said, you are so kind. She said, wouldn't it be wonderful if we had a new currency, the currency of kindness? And I went,
Mm,
oh my God, I love that. Now, Sam, I had no intention of writing a book or, creating kindness circles, but God has other plans. And as soon as she said that, there went the light bulb. And I went to my publisher and I said, what do you think about this book? And they said, we love it. And next thing I know, the book was out in a 9-month period. Now, you probably
mm,
know no book is out in a 9-month period with a major publisher. It's usually a 2 to 3 year period.
mhm,
And it was so fast. It was like they put me into a fast stream, which is why I knew it was so important and that it mattered. And
mm,
it just confirmed everything for me. And then when the book came out, I got that other whisper, create kindness circles. Well, the first kindness circle, 60 people showed up on Zoom.
Wow.
Not like with a lot of promotion. And in fact, I've let this community grow organically for 5 years, and we have over 1,000 people in a
Wow.
community that meets monthly to create and express and be in a space of kindness for 1 hour at 10 a.m. Pacific, the third Wednesday of every month. How
Mhm.
wonderful is that? And I know what a difference that is making because people are telling me the things that are happening, including doing more business together, including being able to express the kindness they recently did. I have people
Mhm.
put in the chat, what kindness did you do in the last 48 hours? And it is beautiful to
Mhm.
watch what they're posting that maybe they didn't even acknowledge for themselves.
Mhm.
And then of course, self kindness and
Right.
presencing that to people in a pace of world that is very hurried and stressed and worried.
Mhm.
We're in the middle of wars and terrible things that are happening in our world. That moment of kindness with your neighbor, with your friends, with your people on Zoom, whatever you do. I have a real thing about a conscious act of kindness,
Mhm.
practicing one act every single day, you know.
Mhm.
And what's wonderful is the truth is most of us are doing it, but to really acknowledge it,
Right. Recognize it even.
to recognize it, and then also to make it a goal,
Mhm.
is a wonderful thing to do. And it's
Mhm.
easy, especially in today's mobile world. Funny enough, that's the positive advantage of the mobile world.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm curious, like, what are some of the benefits that maybe some of your attendees of your kindness circles have said? Like, what have they gotten out of focusing on kindness a little more?
Well, a couple things. And funny enough, we've proved it with when writing The Profit of Kindness that you are generally happier.
Mm.
Kind people make more money. It's actually been proven, interestingly
Really?
enough. And one of the things I'm watching is the motivation, like, oh, I
Mm.
could do that. It's I can do
Mhm.
this.
Mhm.
It's what would I say, easily in reach, because it doesn't have to cost anything, maybe a little bit of time, maybe a
Mm.
smile as you walk down the street. I mean, talk about everybody in their phones, like people aren't even
Yeah.
looking at each other sometimes. So, one of my acts of kindness might be look in someone's eyes and smile. And if they don't smile back, okay, a part of it is no expectation on your part about what comes back. But I know that I'm told sometimes that I'm such a light because I take that light and I let it come through my eyes and my smile and connection. And
Mhm.
by the way, there are times where I'm immersed also in
Mhm.
my phone, in my own world, and my thoughts, and that's okay. But I notice if somebody does that to me, like, wow, that'll, light me up for a moment. And
Yeah.
I do think we crave connection. And even
Mm.
though we're all so connected, and I loved your oration this morning because I think even though we are all so connected, we are so disconnected in ways we've never been before. And I'll tell you, I've got a great relationship with my neighbor. She's 93, and I
Ooh.
make sure I see her every week. I check on her, I text her, and we are family. I lived
Mm.
next door to her for I don't even want to tell you how many years and never knew her until
Mhm.
one day something changed and we started, a relationship. And
Mhm.
we are great neighbors to each other. And I was having people over last week. She loves to bake. She stopped cooking, but she loves to bake, which amazes me with her arthritic fingers. And I mean,
Mm.
she's a good baker, that kind of yummy stuff that from your childhood kind of baker.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I have 6 people coming over. Do you have anything in your freezer? Because I didn't get a chance to get dessert. And by golly, there was a tray of desserts on my front porch. And
Yeah.
I take her shopping because she can't drive now, and to
Mm.
the beauty parlor and other things that are important to
Mhm.
her. So it's how are we taking care of people?
Right.
And
But
I
it's
mean,
such an important point that I think you're making is like you're helping her, but you're getting so much out of that relationship that we all actually have an innate sense of wanting to help people, but we don't often express it. We don't, and unless we work like in a helping field, we don't often express like and allow ourselves the gift of actually going and helping someone.
yeah, but oh, how good it feels. And you
Mhm.
have to make decisions, right? Because
Right.
there's honestly a lot of requests for help. I would save every pet out there that I see somebody
Mm,
needs a home for it, but I can't accommodate them all here.
right.
I do have multiple pet household here, all adopted. Thank you.
Mm,
And I saw something like I watched Nextdoor, the app, and this
hmm
woman with two children, and she said, I can't get to the end of the month. I don't have enough money for food. Please help. No judgment, please. Now, did I
mm,
know if she was real or not real? Actually, no, but I just tuned in. And there are these requests occasionally. And yes, there's food pantries, and yes, all that stuff. When you got two kids and you're working and trying to
mm,
arrange stuff. So I raided my pantry and I put things together and gave her, literally probably a week's worth of food and delivered
wow.
it to her. And I'm going to tell you the truth. When I drove up to her place, I didn't go in the house. I had her meet me on the street. And I said to Steve, I want you to, my husband, I said, I want you to track me. I want you to just be available just in case. Listen, we have a weird world. I
Mm,
don't know. And sometimes you have to balance that. And I'm a woman alone driving a car. I took a chance and I saw her. I know I just felt what she said was true. She thanked me, and there was no expectation of anything else.
mm,
And it was a beautiful thing. And I pray
mm,
she got more food even after that and that things are well for her. But
mm,
here's a woman, young woman striving to make a better life, getting a new apartment for her children. It was a beautiful thing.
wonderful, wonderful. Um, how do you weave in, your focus and how you support yourself is through teaching people about publicity and helping people to get more visible. How do you weave in that kindness into publicity?
Well, a couple things. Kind companies get more publicity. It's
Ah,
true. And kind people get more attention. And people feel it, they know your heart. I remember being introduced, speaking on a major stage with 800 people in front of me, and he read my bio, and then he said, I want you to meet one of the kindest people I know. I'm like, oh my God.
mm,
First of all, it was like, whoa, not intended, not expected, but boy, noticed. And
mm,
that made a world of difference.
wonderful, wonderful. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I just want to talk about sort of what's the resistance to being kind and what are the challenges around it? Like, why are people not kind most of the time? So if we understand that, then maybe we can overcome some of that. Okay, Jill?
Great.
Wonderful. So, everyone, please stay tuned. You're listening to the Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity. We do this every Wednesday, 12 noon to 1 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on talkradio.nyc and all over social media. And we'll be right back with our guest, Jill Lublin, in just a moment. Are you a spiritual seeker? Are you interested in expanded states of reality? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant. And on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, we will dive into these topics with authors, teachers, researchers, and guides. Tune in at our new time, Wednesdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour, Wednesdays, 12 noon Eastern on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC. Uplift, educate, empower.
And welcome back to the Conscious Consultant Hour Awakening Humanity. We're speaking this hour with Jill Lublin, a PR magnet, as well as the most the most ardent proponent of kindness I know. Let me put it that way. So Jill, what's so difficult about being kind?
I think people see it almost like a pillar, maybe not as a consistent activity that's possible and easy. Uh,
Hmm,
it's like a sort of separation, and
hmm,
I see it as together. It's kind of like in life and in work. Are you the same person? I mean, I think I am. I know you are. It's about that consistency and congruency. And sometimes I think it's a busyness that people are so busy, like the word kindness maybe isn't part of the vocabulary of their
hmm.
busyness.
Mm, yeah, yeah. It's kind of like the need to be productive and efficient has kind of squeezed out the kindness.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
And, and
Yeah.
as you mentioned, like kind organizations, kind companies actually do make more money. But why are there so many? And maybe they're not, but it's just the media plays it that way. But why does it feel like there's so many unkind companies?
Well, one is, and you listen, I'm a media person, but the truth is, unfortunately, good news is not the top of the top of the
Mm,
profit creating news media,
right.
so they don't stay focused on positive news. Although funny enough, I've got Google Alerts that has the word kindness in it. I see many, 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 many kindness stories every day, and they're
Mm,
all over the place. So that's exciting news. But the truth is, it doesn't make top headlines necessarily.
no.
That's
Mm.
what's real.
Yeah, yeah. There's a newsletter I subscribe to that's it's just like a news summary, that gives you the highlights. But they have a section called Human Kindness.
Uh,
And so they have like a little section each day that a reader, like one of the readers submits to them that they put in there of an act of kindness that they experienced. And they come from people all over the place, and there are all kinds, from very small to very big acts of kindness. Um, so that was something that I really liked about this newsletter. Um, do you have any other sort of creative ways that we can use kindness to help us in our daily lives?
well, absolutely. In The Profit of Kindness, the book I wrote, I talk about 7 return on kindness principles, right? And I
Mm,
think even keeping a few of these in mind, including flexibility, right? Like,
mm,
how flexible are you in today's world, and especially I think since COVID, we are required to be more flexible than ever, and that means in business, in your appointments, giving people a break. That's really a key. So that's one of the things. Look at your flexibility, and being flexible is kind.
mm,
Boundaries is kind, but both
mm,
are good. Both are good. And
mm.
also patience. It was interesting when I wrote The Profit of Kindness. Guess what happened during the patience chapter? I got put on hold at my utility company. I needed to handle something for 1 hour. I'm not kidding, 1 hour. Yeah,
Wow.
good thing I'm a good multitasker. And
Yeah.
I remember the woman came on the line and she said, "Thank you for your patience." And I thought in my brain, who said I was patient? I mean,
Right.
I
Right.
didn't say it. I'm working on it. But watch your patience. And when you're standing in line, is there something kind you can do, like start a conversation with somebody in
Mm,
front or behind you?
mm,
Watch what happens, right? Or when
right.
you're in an airplane and they say, whatever, you're going to about to be delayed. What one thing can you do? Whether it's sometimes, by the way, kindness to yourself. Take
Yeah.
that deep breath and take a nap or whatever it is. But certainly
Mm,
patience is another really wonderful return on kindness principle that when
mm,
practiced, you will see multiple benefits of it. And, thirdly, and again, there are seven of them, but I think another top one in today's world is compassion. Really,
mm,
we are seeing more hunger and homeless and
mm,
things on the street that perhaps we've never seen before, things in our lives. Knowing that your neighbor may need some support or help, and do you know your neighbor? I mean,
yeah,
really, it's
yeah,
amazing to me. It is amazing to me, and I live close. We live close. Many people live in apartments. Who do you know on your floor, in your complex, whatever it is? Start opening up those relationships and watch what happens. You don't have to be responsible for everybody, but
right.
responsible for being kind. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's really quite interesting. People are more kind than they're given credit for. I remember a few years ago, uh, a gentleman who used to do a show on my network on nonprofits talked about how for the first time giving topped $1 trillion in the year. And it's only grown since then. And while for nonprofits, a lot of grants have gone away, a lot of government funding for nonprofits has gone away. But the private sector has really stepped up and has continued to step up with giving and donations. And so there is in some ways, while things are more challenging and more difficult, that there are people stepping up and saying, you know what, I'm going to give my $5 or $10 to a charity to, help people, like helping people in poor villages get clean water and clean food, just some of the basic stuff. But that's again doesn't, like you said before, it doesn't make the mainstream headlines, doesn't get promoted because it doesn't sell ads, does it?
Well, right. And that's why, to me, I'm unconcerned about what it offers. Although,
Mm,
here's what I'm noticing big companies, like, for instance, Dignity Health in San Francisco, a major healthcare company crossing multiple states. For in San Francisco, they run an ad campaign on the side of buses. You know what it's called? The Human Kindness Campaign.
Ah,
So, that obviously is a core principle. And Honda, the car company, was running kindness commercials. So it
mm,
has hit the mainstream, it's in the lexicon, it's a word that's used kind of like happiness was hot and green, you
mhm,
know. So I'm really seeing it, which is wonderful, and I'm thrilled.
that is wonderful. That is wonderful. I'm curious. It's been several years since you started running your kindness circles, and since you've really started promoting this idea of being more kind. What benefit have you seen out of doing all this work?
Mm. Well, I've reached people that I never would have reached. I mean, in
Mhm.
publicity, it's wonderful, and I get to work with small business and entrepreneurs. What's interesting about kindness, I hear the from people. Like there's something that it sparks that might be different than publicity. So then all of a sudden, they're in a circle of mine where I get to know people at different levels. They get to know me at different levels. I think I've become kinder and softer, which
Mm,
is lovely. And I certainly, knowing that I'm leading a circle of kindness and telling people to practice a conscious act of kindness every day, you bet that I monitor myself and check for this
mm,
daily, you know.
mm,
And the good news is I'm doing it, even, whether I'm marking it or not, but I do absolutely monitor myself. So I think that self monitoring is really key because it does begin here. All of our world
mm.
begins here and then streams out to everybody else who then feels impacted and affected by it. So for me, that's making a difference.
Yeah, because if we're not being kind to ourselves, how can we be kind to anyone else?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Um, how do you recommend people deal with, how do people be kind to people who are difficult to deal with?
Oh, yeah, and that's a big one. Well, I'll tell you, I was on a cruise one time, and I was in the spa area waiting for a treatment, and this other woman was like having a fit to the
Mm,
to the woman at the desk. And I don't know what was going on. I don't want to know what was going on. I was there to relax. She looked at the woman and she said, "Listen, I really want to help you, and your voice is very loud and disruptive to people who are here to relax. So I have a request that we go to the other room, and I will listen to you, and we'll resolve, the issue. But I'm going to ask you right now to lower your voice and just be respectful." By
mm,
golly, that shut the woman up. She did go to the other room, but it's, sometimes people just go off
mm,
without regard. I'm sure we've all been there, to anyone
yeah,
around them. And by the way, including talking too loud on your darn phone while
yeah,
everybody's around you. I don't want to hear your conversation.
yeah,
Um, so to me, that was exquisite boundary setting and a correction, like right then. You
hmm,
say that to people. My friend and me were out last night socially with with another woman who I guess said something that upset him, and he looked at her and he said, "That really upset me, what you just said to me." Okay, so he stated it. She wasn't aware of it.
mm,
She corrected it. I think you can say things to people that are kind. I tend to honestly, to be totally honest, I don't say a lot to people. I'll just kind of retreat, let
hmm,
people be. And for me, that's my kind state.
mm,
However, if people are running over me or abusing me in any way, I
mm,
would certainly say that, that does not feel good. Or,
right,
like in business, you have boundaries and you have principles and you have procedures, and you can just say, "I'm sorry, that doesn't work for me.
mm,
Here's what does," like that. And I think you do have to just sometimes say to people, "That did not feel good to me," or, "Here's another way we can handle that." Sometimes the kindest thing is not reacting. In my
mm,
world, I'm probably more of a non reactor. And
hmm,
I think getting angry at somebody for their own whatever unconsciousness, what good does it do? I just kind
right,
of back up. But one thing I've learned is non-reaction in today's world.
mm,
I think it works best in most cases, and especially somebody who's just going off and in a reactive mode, they're not going to react to your kindness in that moment. And
hmm,
I think typically leaving the situation, backing up, or "I'll get back to you" works well.
mm, mm, yeah, yeah. I mean, people, their fuse tends to be a little shorter these days. People tend to be a little more terse, a little short. So sometimes, they might be a little gruff, a little difficult, and just not responding to that with any energy that feeds it, that makes it even worse, is sometimes the kindest thing we can do.
Well, I agree. And, listen, it is a fast world. And
Hmm.
I think the one thing is, don't take things personally.
Right.
Just generally, if somebody's having a bad day and they're, being a little slightly rude or whatever, I just like, well, sounds like you might be having a tough day, or I don't acknowledge it. I just say what I need to say and leave. You know,
Mm.
you don't have to stay in a situation.
Right, right, right. Just one last question. I know you have to go soon. Um, you've been running your kindness circles for a long time. I'm sure you've heard all different kinds of stories of kindness. Is there one like really amazing story you've heard from one of the people who attended the kindness circles that really stands out for you?
Hmm. Well, I'll tell you, it's actually in my book, The Profit of Kindness, if I may, because I love this
Yeah.
story about a grandson whose grandmother was kind of on her last leg, and dying. And Panera, she loved clam chowder from Panera Bread Company. She calls his local Panera Bread Company in New Hampshire, and they go, it was Wednesday. They said, "I'm sorry, clam chowder isn't until Friday." He said, "My grandma probably won't make it till Friday. This is kind of her last request." The person who answered the phone, who was not even a manager, said, "Don't worry about it." Next thing you know, they're making her clam chowder, gave her some cookies, and he picked it up. He was in tears. It
Mm,
was literally her last meal. And
mm,
that person just did kindness. They didn't care about the company policy and we don't
mm.
do it on Wednesday. They just did it. Well, let me tell you something. You want to talk good publicity and how kindness leads to it? He posted that story. Do you know that Panera got 350,000 comments? This was on social media. It led to that woman becoming a sales manager, then a regional sales manager, totally
Wow.
changed the course of her career, who clearly was somebody who cared and who was kind. And
Yeah.
just a beautiful story of the fact that sometimes rules don't matter, but kindness does.
Yeah. Oh, that's so beautiful. That's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. That's amazing. Jill, I know you have to run. Before you go, if people want to learn more about your kindness circles, if they want to learn more about the work that you do, where can they go? How can they find you?
Absolutely. Please come to the kindness circles. They are completely free and it's a beautiful way to be with each other. You go to jilllublin.com/kindness circles. And for the publicity fund and getting yourself out there in kind and wonderful ways that increase credibility and viability in business, I have a wonderful publicity challenge, super fun and get it done. And that's at jilllublin.com/start.
Wonderful. And just so everyone knows, Jill, Jill, Lublin, Lublin. A lot of L's in there. And we'll include it in the show notes. So we'll make
Perfect.
sure that gets out. Jill, thank you so much for taking the time to come on my show. I really appreciate it. It's been a pleasure knowing you for as long as I've known you. You're probably one of the few people who I met through business networking that I still know. I think we met in October of 2007. So it's been quite a long time. So it's really wonderful to see you still doing such wonderful work.
Oh, thank you, Sam. And I adore and love you. And thank you for the great work you do and putting all the voices out into the world and your voice too.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Take care now. So yes, go join Jill's kindness circles at jilllublin.com/kindness circles, plural. And let's make sure to include that in the show notes. And of course, thank you, my loyal listeners, for tuning in each week. Without you, there is no show. And please don't forget, if you did miss any part of today's show, you can always catch the replay at talkradio.nyc and on your favorite podcasting app, Apple, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, Amazon, wherever you listen to podcasts, you can find the Conscious Consultant Hour. And please don't keep us a secret. Like if you're getting something out of this, if you're enjoying the conversations that we have on the show, please share it with your friends, your family, your colleagues. Maybe there's someone out there who needs to hear about how kindness can actually be a better way of doing things. So please share it with your friends and people you know. Post it on social media. Let's get the word out there, especially such a wonderful topic as kindness, because let's face it, things are getting more and more challenging in the world. Things are changing quicker than ever before. This whole idea of kindness, it's something we all need. It's something we can all benefit from. So let's support Jill in her movement of making kindness more a part of our daily lives. Um, and of course, thank you, my loyal listeners, for tuning in each week. I so appreciate each and every one of you. Please comment on the live streams. Please reach out to me if you have any questions or comments or suggestions for the show. You can reach me at sam@theconsciousconsultant.com. Just to let you know, the next few weeks, I'm pre-recorded a whole bunch of shows because I'm going to be away on vacation. I will be back in September, but we've got some really wonderful shows recorded and lined up for you. So please tune in each week. We will be airing them each and every week in my regular spot, Wednesdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. Thank you all for tuning in. Take care. We will talk to you all next week.